Call Graham Day to respond to the debate for around 7 minutes, please, Minister.
Presiding Officer, let me begin by congratulating Alexander Stewart both for bringing forward this motion for debate and his eloquent speech, and let me also thank other members for their contributions. Debates in this chamber on our armed forces and veterans have traditionally highlighted a cross-party consensus around wanting the best for those who have served or are currently serving, and I'm pleased that has very much been the case once again this afternoon. There is no doubt, Presiding Officer, that veterans and their families are a great asset to our communities, making a valuable contribution to life here in Scotland. Equally, there is no doubt as to the importance of the work done here by our veterans' charities in supporting the armed forces and veterans community. I have visited and met with many of them since becoming Veterans Minister 14 months ago, and I am continually impressed, genuinely impressed, with how each and every day they do everything they can to make a difference to those who require their support. And today's debate highlights a particularly good example of an organisation who do just that. As we've heard, this year marks the 100th anniversary of the RAF Benevolent Fund, having been founded in 1919, 1 year after the formation of the Royal Air Force. The assistance they provide to the RAF community is commendable, through the likes of welfare breaks, grants and their advice on support available for those with care needs. I know their efforts are more than appreciated by both serving and former RAF personnel and their families as well. And I very much welcome the focus of Maurice Corrie's speech around the work done by the fund for the families of serving personnel. As colleagues know, the narrative I've sought to create as Veterans Minister has very much been one that encompasses the families, the wider families, not just the serving personnel or veterans. I actually had the pleasure of meeting with the RAF Benevolent Fund Area Director Gavin Davey at the start of August, where we discussed the work the charity does for veterans and their keenness to promote what they do amongst members here in the Parliament. As we've heard, RAF-BF have launched a 3-year centenary project to increase those it supported from 53,000 in 2018 to over 100,000 per annum by 2021. And whilst the television adverts, voiced I think by James Bolam, are quite striking, I do believe all of us, especially MSPs with a veterans locus, have a role to play in awareness raising and helping the Benevolent Fund achieve its ambitious target. Because that would achieve a widely shared goal of getting greater help to those who need it, but perhaps don't realise the opportunity which exists through the fund. The meeting last month proved insightful in a number of ways, but there was a particular fact that Gavin revealed that really stood out to me, and that was that of all the veterans in Scotland, some 20% are ex-RAF. I think that really highlights the close connection Scotland has with the service, one, of course, that goes all the way back to the First World War. And picking up on Alexander Stewart's assertion that 1 in 3 of us knows someone who served in the RAF, like David Stewart, I am one of the one. My grandfather on my father's side served in the RAF during the Second World War, and my dad did his national service in the RAF. And I hadn't quite thought of that connection until Alexander Stewart made that point earlier. The RAF's history is apparent across all of Scotland, from the borders to the furthest tip of Shetland at Saxe-Abord. There's particular evidence of that in my own constituency, which was home to RAF Teeling, and where the local village hall sports a quite remarkable mural. And an interesting fact that connects both Scotland and the RAF was that the first German air raid on Britain repelled by the RAF during World War II took place not far from here on the 1st of 4th on the 16th of October 1939. And of course, as we've heard, the RAF's presence is still just as evident today with their station in Lossiemouth, which, as was noted previously, has attracted very welcome financial support from the fund. Presiding Officer, given our historic links with the service and the number of veterans in Scotland who proudly say they're ex-RAF, it's been very welcome today that we've had the opportunity to acknowledge and celebrate an organisation whose valuable work has ensured that RAF personnel and their families are supported in a way they so deserve. As I've said before, as Veterans Minister, and indeed the Scottish Government, is absolutely committed to ensuring that life for those leaving the services is as successful as it can be. And the Government's view is completely in line with the values of the RAF Benevolent Fund. Since the Scottish Veterans Fund was founded in 2008, we've contributed to over 150 projects that help the veterans community, and I'm pleased to say we've committed to supporting the fund for a further 3 years up to 2023. I also recently met with local authority veterans champions to discuss how the Scottish Government can bolster the support they get in their communities to carry out their role and provide the support needed for veterans in those areas. But, Presiding Officer, it would be entirely remiss of me not to acknowledge that in this role I am building on very sound foundations established by my predecessor, Keith Brown, whose knowledge and passion for this subject shone through in his contribution. Presiding Officer, it's our collective duty to ensure we provide the best support we can to those who are in need. We must work in partnership with those who share that common goal to improve the lives of our armed forces community. And we are lucky, we are extremely fortunate that the armed forces and veterans charities we have in Scotland are some of the most highly effective and well-regarded organisations in the sector. I'm sure, therefore, that everyone will join me in thanking the RAF Benevolent Fund for their tireless efforts in supporting our armed forces community and wishing them well for the next 100 years and beyond. Presiding Officer.
That concludes the debate, and this meeting is suspended until 2 o'clock.